school. We just tell them how to follow the food pyramid, and then we wonder why they need to be on Ozempic and insulin later on in life. Anyways, we have a really busy show today.
Yes.
And we should get right into it. I'll tell everybody how they can get involved. If you're watching us on Rumble, thank you for watching us there. If you want to get involved in the show, support the work that we do, you can leave a Rumble rant so you can interact directly with us. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, we'll read it on air. Same rules apply over on YouTube, but YouTube has an additional way that you can support us. So if you're missing the live version of the show, you can leave a paid chat called a super thanks also. And we rely on you because, of course, we'll never rely on the government to do the work that we do. I mean, we're not the mainstream media. Why would we do that? And before we get into a very packed show, I want to tell you about how you can help us celebrate a milestone that was only possible thanks to you. So it was our 10th birthday back in February. We didn't celebrate it at the time. There was a lot of things happening in the world. We're in the throes of tariff mania. We remain in the throes of tariff mania. There was a leadership race in the Liberals, and then they quickly pivoted to electioneering. And so we put off our birthday party, but we can't put it off forever. And this is as much a celebration of everything we accomplished as it is a celebration of your support of us over the years. So please join us in Calgary if you're there. If you can be there, September 18th, 6 p.m. at the Carriage House, where you will hang out with your favorite rebels. I hope I'm one of them. It'll be live music and entertainment, and we just added a headliner to our live music. And that is our friend Tamara Lich. And boy, there's a lot of news coming out about her today. So Tamara Lich will be performing. There'll be cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, meet and greet with your favorite rebel personalities, photo ops, and keepsakes to remember the night. I know Lise and I have decided that we are going to overdress because I know most of you see me like looking like a lumberjill most of the time. I'm going to lean into the glamour of the evening. I think Lisa's going to drag me along on that adventure. So we'll be there. General admission tickets include free parking, live music, hors d'oeuvres, team photos. VIP tickets include all those things, plus a special dinner with Rebels and the team before the party. So that starts at 5. If you want tickets, and please do not hesitate, don't sleep on this, as the young people say, go to happybirthdayrebel.com and join us as we celebrate everything that we were able to do thanks to all of you at home.
And I'll just say, Sheila, what more do people want? Tamara Lich as the musical guest, you and the lovely Lise dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
If I wasn't part of this, I'd be buying a ticket right now.
Yeah, I'm going to look like a disco ball. All right, let's get into, if that's all the housekeeping, Efron. If I've missed something, please let me know. But let's get into the news of Tamara Lich, because this sort of broke over the last day or two. She is headed to sentencing after being convicted of mischief. She's headed to sentencing in just 2 days, so Wednesday, on the 23rd. And this is what she posted. And it's funny because I brought this up to Ezra the other day, and I'm like, should we get Tamara to come to our birthday party? And he's like, and I said, you know, like, are we worried about her going to jail? And he said, oh, God, she'll never see inside of a jail cell. Oh, well, not if the prosecutors have their way. Late yesterday afternoon, I received a copy of the Crown's materials for our upcoming sentencing hearing and can confirm they are seeking a 7-year prison sentence for her. This is not like, hey, this is the sentencing range from like no time served to 10 years. They want 7 years for Tamara, 8 for Chris Barber, and the destruction of Chris's livelihood. They want to destroy Big Red. That's his iconic symbol of the Convoy, his truck, which he uses every day. It's part of his business. He is quite literally a trucker. If you destroy the truck, you destroy his business. So not only is it enough that they want to imprison him for 8 years, but they also want to leave him indigent at the end of it all. And I think this is outrageous. As I said, sentencing is Wednesday. Ezra's going to be there to cover it live from the courtroom for Rebel News.
Well, Sheila, if Tamara does spend a single day in jail, it will make a mockery.
She almost spent 50 days already. So.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not. And of course, if I'm the judge, the penalty is time served. Have a good day, Miss Leach and Mr. Barber. And that is just a vendetta if they go ahead and try to repossess or destroy Big Red, take away his livelihood. What have we seen in almost 2 years in the streets? We've seen the Hamas-holes chanting for genocide, shooting up Jewish girls' schools, carrying out vandalism against Jewish businesses, vandalism, violence, and what happens? The police arrest peaceful counter-demonstrators, and yes, I'm speaking from experience, members of the independent press. What did we see just last week? Some 14-year-old punk, and of course, we can't name Precious or show you his photo anymore now that he's been captured, who took to social media and incriminated himself, bragging, essentially, about killing a 71-year-old beloved grandmother because she wouldn't surrender her car keys. Gee, Sheila, maybe the Toronto police were right. Just bend the knee. Just give the criminals whatever you want. And here we have these leaders of a peaceful demonstration. As you know, Sheila, crime went down in Ottawa during the Freedom Convoy being there, despite all the despicable smear attempts of, Freedom Convoy participants involved in arson and going after a homeless shelter. I mean, it was just absolute embarrassing garbage. But here's my worry, Sheila. I would like to believe Ezra is right. I would like to believe that, even though they're seeking 7-8 year jail sentence terms, the real justice would be, please be on your way. You've suffered enough. And they have suffered enough, clearly. Mm-hmm. But you never know what a judge is thinking, do you, Sheila? You can never guess what's in that judge's head. And my fear, especially that this trial is being held in Ottawa, and I'm just speculating if this is a judge who has aspirations of in the future being named to, say, the Supreme Court of Canada, wants to wear one of those nice red robes, that means the book will be thrown. I would have more confidence, Sheila, if this was a jury trial, not...
Can I...
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this picture itself speaks to why she shouldn't see the inside of a jail cell. She is standing there with her lawyer, Keith Wilson, talking to the police liaison team, working with the police liaison team, doing her best to mitigate the inconvenience of the residents of downtown Ottawa, the well-kept work-from-home bureaucrats of downtown Ottawa who found the honkening the worst thing that ever happened to them. The phantom honking. Do you remember that? That was a real story. They suffered from phantom honking. But this shows that she's not some hardened, seasoned criminal who should spend 7 years in jail. She's somebody who did her best to make sure that her protest adhered to the laws by working with police every single day. It's atrocious that the Crown wants this, but let's not let somebody in the middle of this get away from it. These are Doug Ford's Crown prosecutors. These are not Mark Carney's Crown prosecutors. These are Doug Ford's Crown prosecutors. This is insane.
100%. But really, Doug Ford, Mark Carney, really, Sheila, is there any difference?
No daylight.
Let's be realistic here. Yes, there was horn honking, but I can tell you over the last few years, Sheila, whether it's Antifa or the Hamas holes or sometimes public sector union members, I get a megahorn
of course,
at point blank in my ear. It is deafening. it is a form of assault. 100% it is. I would rather be punched than have one of those horns, blast a sonic assault into my eardrums. This happens in front of police, and they do nothing. And I made this point before, Sheila, and I remember your answer, and it made me chuckle. I was there for most of the Freedom Convoy, and I was out there on the coldest days, and I was practicing journalism, covering it, as were, of course, Alexa Lavoie and Lincoln Jay. And I'll tell you, I stayed in hotels right downtown, right at ground zero. And when my head hit the pillow, I was out like a light. And I think you said when I first told you that story, well, of course, because you were working.
Yeah, it was exactly what I was thinking. That's because you put in an honest day's work.
Yeah.
And a lot of those bureaucrats, work from home bureaucrat losers, 1 and 2 could be fired and I wouldn't care. They don't work hard for a living. And that's what the people in the Freedom Convoy wanted for themselves, was to be able to go back to work, to just be able to earn for their family. But thanks to vaccine mandates and travel restrictions, they just couldn't. They didn't want to have their union go to bat for them so that they could sit in their condo in downtown Ottawa and clack away on their keyboard. They wanted to put in an honest day's work with their back and their hands or their truck or their equipment to earn for their families, and they were never allowed to. That's what they were there fighting for. And imagine, it's the laptop class versus the productive class. That's what this was all about. And the fancy people in this country, they have to make sure that this never happens again.
And Sheila, as you were speaking, look at the despicable footage of violence and vandalism and hatred, bouncy castles and street performers and people picking up litter. And I'll tell you, one of the sidebars, Sheila, in terms of the propaganda narrative that the legacy media was perpetuating was all the restaurants. I would say more than 90% of the restaurants in downtown Ottawa during this period were closed, even had plywood, shielding on their windows. Because you know what? It's not a safe space, And I can tell you, the 1s and 2s of restaurants that stayed open, there was a shawarma place and there was a Thai place. There was a lineup of grateful customers waiting to get in to patronize. What I'm saying is all those scaredy cat Ottawa businesses that bought in to the mainstream media propaganda, they lost out on a bonanza, because when you have over 150,000 people converging in downtown Ottawa, guess what? They're going to buy things, especially food and beverage, and you really missed out. And there was none of the garbage that we see in the streets of our great Dominion post-October 7th. So, Sheila, try to connect the dots for me in terms of this hypocrisy and this double standard.
I did something that a lot of people didn't do, and that was actually read the sentencing submissions from the Crown. And in that, and I wrote this up for our website today. Despite the protest's peaceful nature, the Crown argues that the symbolism of occupying Wellington Street near Parliament Hill justifies treating the event as a serious criminal matter. So just the presence of these blue-collar people down there should be a serious criminal matter. Wait, it gets worse, because this goes to what you were talking about. Victim impact statements from residents, hotels, and businesses allege noise disturbance and revenue loss. All they had to do was open the doors.
Thank you.
They're using the revenue loss as a reason why these two should be punished as serious terrorist criminals. By the way, they weren't convicted of sedition, so why are they being sentenced for sedition? But the revenue loss was on the restaurant owners who locked the doors. These people were protesting for the restaurants to be able to be open.
Sheila, it's kind of like an ice cream truck driver during a scorching heat wave going on vacation.
Right.
You are lacking the vision of what it takes to be successful in that business. And the same with this, as they say, I believe the farmers say this out where you live, Sheila, when the sun is shining, you make hay. And the idea that you closed up voluntarily, and granted, you were kind of coerced in terms of the media garbage that you were consuming. Well, you know what? Maybe you should have rolled the dice, because you would have been ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. The saying is make hay when the sun shines. And these guys didn't. Let's move ahead, because the Conservatives are remembering why Pierre Poilievre is the leader. And Pierre Poilievre is the leader because Erin O'Toole was, like this with the Liberals on the Freedom Convoy.
Yep.
He wouldn't meet with them. He basically sided with the nonsensical Liberals that these people shouldn't be protesting their government in the city that houses the government. Like, where else are you supposed to protest them? But they're remembering, once again, why they have Pierre Poilievre as a leader. And so Conservative MP Dean Allison reacts to Tamara's, so we won't go into Poilievre yet, but Dean Allison was the first one. So he is the MP for Niagara West, and he was the first one to come out and say how crazy this was. This is insanity. The Liberal government treats actual criminals better than this. Steal a car, no problem. Home invasions, no problem. Murder a grandmother, no problemo. Exploit children, no problem. This country is run by useful idiots. And that is true. And he wasn't the only one. He sort of opened the floodgates. So former Conservative MP Michelle Ferreri then reacted to Dean's post, who was reacting to Tamara. And she said, you can murder someone, walk free, but if you organize a protest, you go to jail. Oh, not any protest. You can organize protests all over the place. You just can't organize a protest in favor of human rights and dignity and charter rights in this country. She said, this is Liberal Canada. It's not about justice. It's about control. And then U.S. trial lawyer Robert Barnes said, we should sanction Canada for this on the same grounds that we have sanctioned other foreign nations for their wrongful lawfare against basic human freedoms that the trucker convoy protected. You know what? One would wonder what Mark Carney would have to say if Russia treated peaceful protesters like this.
You know what?
Let's say the Israelis did this. The Liberals would be lighting their hair on fire, tripping over themselves to denounce it. But they do it here, and look, this is a win for justice in Canada.
And you know what, Sheila? Let us not forget, since you mentioned the name of Mark Carney, banker supreme once upon a time in both Canada and England. Mr. Carney, and is there anyone in the mainstream media that would have the guts to ask him this question? As a banker, what did you think about Canadian banks freezing the bank accounts of those financial support? So these are people that never took to the streets. These are just people that wanted to help feed and fuel the Freedom Convoy. What would Mr. Carney have to say? I really wonder, Sheila.
Do you wonder? Because he told us exactly what he would say. Because he's the guy who said we need to follow the money and choke it off. And he called this sedition. And lo and behold, these two are being sentenced as though they committed sedition instead of just peaceful mischief, the crime of being annoying in public and the cops don't know what to do with you. Yeah. He's the guy who wrote this as a op-ed to the Globe and Mail. It's time to end the sedition in Ottawa by enforcing the law and following the money. He's the guy who whispered to Freeland, let's use FinTrack to shut these down as though this is a terrorist act, and then we'll trace the money as though it is the proceeds or the funding for terrorism. And yet, same government does nothing about the Hamas protests when the Americans are like, yeah, this money's coming from Iran.
Well, Sheila, then I take it back. We don't need to ask the Prime Minister where he stands. That opinion column in the Global Mail, adroitly speaks volumes, I should think. The second thing is, Sheila, if anyone is going to bat for Canada's big banks, well, they're federally regulated. The government told them to do that. No, they didn't have to follow through on this. And that's not conjecture. You mentioned Keith Wilson, Tamara Lich's lawyer. He has said on our Rebel News cruises when he's given presentations, the insurance companies were likewise mandated by the federal government.
Yes.
They wanted the auto insurance, the home insurance, and even the life insurance policies canceled. Yeah.
Their business liability insurance. We know that Farm Credit Canada denied financing to farmers who had shown support for the Freedom Convoy. Not even that they participated in it, but they were denied financing, and they never were told why. So if they were trying to buy equipment, finance cattle, whatever, they couldn't do it, and they were never told why. And it was because their politics were wrong, because Farm Credit Canada is a federal agency. It's the Farmers Finance Bank, which is supposed to work specifically for farmers, and they were punished for having the wrong politics. It's such a scandal. If this had happened in another country, one that seems a little less progressive, the Carney Liberals would be losing their marbles. If they did this in the United States, oh my goodness, we would not be able to shut up Melanie Joly over it. But because they did it to our conservatives, small c conservatives, nobody seems to care.
Yeah, it would be, look again, Donald Trump and his war on democracy.
Right.
That would be the narrative. But
We'd
Sheila,
be taking refugees from there.
was the exception to the rule. The other insurers said, no, we're not going to do that. We are not going to cancel insurance policies of good customers who pay their premiums in full. Why would we do that?
Right. They're not an insurance risk. They only care about risk, like financial risk, insurance risk. But the Liberals wanted them to care about political risk to the Liberals, which was fine for Farm Credit Canada. If the Conservatives ever get in power, that whole organization should be gutted.
I totally agree. So, and my end point, if the insurance companies, aside from FCC, didn't go along like trained seals taking orders from Fraulein Freeland and Blackface, then the big banks could have also said, take a long walk off a short pier too.
They could.
But they didn't. They were too eager to comply. And Sheila, to this day, I will never forget the look on Fraulein Freeland's face. She couldn't contain her smile. She was like jumping up and down like she was going to her Sweet 16 party. She was relishing in economically penalizing law-abiding, tax-paying Canadians. What a disgrace.
She cackled as she did it. I'll never forget that.
Yep.
We've got a video from Eric St. Pierre. He posted a 2-minute montage of the convoy footage along with his personal anecdote of how the movement helped him during those times. We had a lot of people say, I saw the Freedom Convoy and I didn't feel crazy. I didn't feel alone because that was the whole point, is to keep people apart, keep them from talking to each other. Let's show this. And then we'll show what the Conservative leader has to say.
Your country's in revolt. Do you know about this? Show this video.
Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord, vous autres, avec la vaccination obligatoire? Ah oui, hein?
Those who refuse will have to pay a new health contribution.
It was our footage.
Ils sont extrémistes.
Qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi.
We have one of the biggest revolutions happening. Right now there's 50,000 truckers and about 1.4 million people headed to the Parliament in Ottawa, and they're going to stay there until Trudeau resigns or they give us back all of our freedoms and rights.
overpass is packed with Canadians. Look at us right here. Look at this. God bless Canada. God bless every single one of you truckers and every single one of you Canadians that are supporting this movement. This is not a cringe. We will not be divided. We stand together. We will win this country back.
I was at a point where I was giving up on Canada, and you guys have given me hope. You guys are giving us strength. You guys are keeping us going. And wow, we are one big team, one big national team. The entire world is watching us. I firmly believe this is our last stand, and we are not coming home until you are all free.
The hawking will continue until freedom is proved.
As I watched that, I realized why they want 7 years for Tamara and 8 for Chris. Up until that very moment, the Liberals had faced basically zero opposition. Tamara and Chris and what they built together became the single greatest opposition movement to the Liberals that they had faced in, at that point, I think 8 years, 7 years, whatever. They're being politically punished for that. They were more effective than anything the official conservatives had ever done. And it started with only grassroots momentum. They were able to out-fundraise everybody. Canadians who had felt alone, segregated, and gaslit realized what was happening to them, how they had been lied to. And it was that moment where the vaccinated and the unvaccinated realized actually that we're all in this together, that we should not be held apart from each other. And whatever medical choices we make are our own business, and not the government or our bartender or our hockey coach. Watching that, that is why they want 7 years and 8 years, is because the Liberals can never have that happen to them again.
You are 100% right, Sheila. And by the way, I just want to comment on that 3-minute montage that we saw. It brings to mind the tagline on the poster for the horror movie Phantasm, circa 1979, namely, "If this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead." Just brilliant. Right. If that 3 minutes of footage doesn't give you goosebumps, well, check your pulse. That was unbelievable what happened in that point in history in Canada in late January and through February. And, Sheila, to those who say, yeah, but what did it accomplish? You occupied Ottawa for 3.5 weeks. You honked your horns, but what happened? Well, I'll tell you one tangible thing. To your original point off the hopper, Sheila, it got rid of O'Toole. That was his death knell, his weak-kneed indecision, and the party thankfully threw him out. I'm only amazed it wasn't a unanimous vote. I would love to know those MPs that did vote for him, but I understand it's a secret vote. So, getting rid of O'Fool and bringing in Pierre Poilievre, thank you very much, Freedom Convoy 2022.
Not just did it get rid of O'Toole, it brought in a different, bolder brand of conservatism.
Yes.
I think it led to the end, besides all of our hard work, holding them to account, it led to the end of Jason Kenney in Alberta. Now we have Danielle Smith, who is really leading the way on major cultural and economic issues in this country. It liberated Albertans from Jason Kenney's vaccine passport that most definitely wasn't a vaccine passport, according to him. The vaccine passport dropped before as the Freedom Convoy crossed 50th Street in Lloydminster, going from Alberta to Saskatchewan. Scott Moe in Saskatchewan's like, you know what? We don't need a vaccine passport here anymore. don't convoy me, bro. It changed a lot of things in this country. It changed the kind of conservatism. We don't have that scaredy cat, mushy middle, Aaron O'Toole style conservatism in this country anymore, and that is directly related to the Freedom Convoy, and they should be proud of themselves for it.
Of course, as always, Sheila, there are statistical anomalies such as Doug Ford, the so-called Conservative Premier of Ontario. That's the shadow of Aaron O'Toole, I would argue. By the way, since it is National Junk Food Day, do you think Premier Ford is having an extra slice of cherry cheesecake today, Sheila? Just wondering.
I'm sure he's probably splitting his cherry cheesecake from a can with Mark Carney. One of the laziest cheesecake I've ever seen in my life.
It was horrible.
It was just dumping canned stuff into a pie plate. It's stupid. Pierre Poilievre, now speaking of a different brand of conservatism, imagine Aaron O'Toole saying these things, right?
Oh, no. No.
He says, let me get this straight. While rampant violent offenders are released hours after getting their most recent charges, and anti-Semitic rioters vandalize businesses, terrorize daycares, and block traffic without consequences, the Crown wants 7 years prison time for the charge of mischief for Lich and Barber. Actually, it's 8 for Barber, and the destruction of his livelihood. How is this justice? I'm glad he said it. It's outrageous. And the reason he's the leader is because of those two.
Isn't it so refreshing? And to your point, can you imagine Aaron O'Toole
let's see
saying
what Aaron
this?
O'Toole is talking about today.
No. And because I'll never forget, once he was shown the door, it was like New Year's Day 2023, Aaron O'Toole published that essay of the lack of decorum in politics. These people waving F Trudeau flags. Oh, it's so nasty. It's so shameful. This is from the freshly departed Conservative leader. He's worried about F Trudeau flags. That's why he is the ex-leader, Sheila.
Yeah, he has basically tweeted nothing about crime in this country. Anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? It was so nice to see O'Toole get scorched for that position.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I'm glad. He never learns.
And that's the thing. These recently shown the door conservative failed conservative leaders, they don't know enough to shut up. Jason Kenney, I'm talking to you. You don't have advice to give anybody. You were run out of Alberta as a conservative. That's a real accomplishment, actually. Because, you could run a sack of potatoes in a blue jersey and we'll vote for them. And yet he was run out of town on a rail for not being conservative enough. So why don't you shut up, you guys? Just shut up. Go away in shame.
Sheila,
these people don't have any shame.
What happened to that guy? I never would have dreamt
you know what?
it.
It's one thing to talk about stuff and talk about the big ideas of conservatism, religious freedom, all that stuff. It's real easy to talk about it. It's tougher to do it. And he just didn't do it. I believe in religious freedom. That's why and not just for myself as a Catholic, but I spent a lot of time in Protestant churches who are fighting against the lockdown. You just can't fight for your own tribe. You have to fight for the idea for everybody's tribe. And he just couldn't do it, which means that he was completely insincere in his belief. He believed in it as a theory, but when he was the guy that had to practice it, couldn't do it.
You know what? I think that's the best analysis I've heard of what happened, because I always used to believe what Mr. Kenney was selling, but when push came to shove, I think you're right. He didn't have the stomach to do the right thing.
No, he's just a theorist and not a doer. And those people are best left to academics and not politics. let's, do we need to hit an ad break, Efron? We'll come back into the Toronto. We'll touch briefly on the Toronto teen killer, which we can't talk a lot about now because he's been captured. Do we want to hit it? Oh. Efron tells me that Andrew Lawton, sorry, just staying on the Tamara Lich thing, even though we're 43 minutes into the Tamara Lich thing. Andrew Lawton. So Andrew Lawton, we love Andrew.
We do.
Formerly at True North, he stars in our documentary about medical assistance in dying. And Andrew is now the Conservative MP for London. Worked his butt off for that spot too, by the way. He says, the prosecution of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber has been excessive and vindictive. Vindictive is a great word to describe it. The Crown is seeking a 7-year sentence, 8 for Chris, for a 3-week peaceful protest almost 3.5 years ago, all while violent offenders are given slaps on the wrist. He goes on to say, this prosecution has taken over 3 years of judicial resources, while some offenders have walked because their cases weren't heard in time. What a great point. To add insult to injury, the Crown is seeking to seize Chris Barber's truck. This serves no purpose other than spite.
Oh, yeah.
Completely. Yes, thank you, Andrew. 100%.
Yeah, Andrew's doing a great job. And by the way, Sheila, I urge our viewers to seek out Andrew Lawton's book about the Freedom Convoy. It is superb. He was on the ground. Yep. It's a fantastic piece of journalism. And he's just hitting it out of the ballpark so far, isn't he? I mean,
if you're gun owner, he's great.
Oh, the public safety minister being questioned by Andrew Lawton.
Andrew Lawton, who is a licensed firearm owner.
Yeah.
Was just giving it to Gary Anandasangri, who doesn't even know the classifications of firearms in this country. It seems like it's an important file if you're the public safety minister. Considering they're in the midst of a gun grab, you might want to know what the classifications are. But he didn't, and Andrew just made him look like an absolute buffoon. And that was some comments. It was a real delight. Efron, do we want to hit an ad break, or do we want to just keep going? Okay, he says just keep going. Okay, so we have to be careful about what we're going to talk about now because up until a day ago, this young person's name was in the public domain. And the reason it was in the public domain is because there was judicial authorization to identify the young person. Why? Because he was on the lam for allegedly killing a 71-year-old lady. Yeah. So now his photograph and name can no longer be published or broadcast. We have to be very careful about the circumstances of the things we're talking about. But he was it was a male youth of Toronto, age 14, has been charged with second-degree murder. And he had released an Instagram live video, which we're not going to show, on why he allegedly murdered the lady in the parking lot as she was putting away her groceries. And according to him, it's because she wouldn't let him steal her car.
Yeah. And Sheila, on that note of this little thug posting this on social media, do we really need to use the A word, allegedly? The guy implicated himself. He put himself at the scene of the crime. He basically admitted to the murder of this 71-year-old grandmother. He offered a motive, wouldn't give him the car keys. So I don't know. I know until he's being proven guilty, you know, typically you got to use allegedly. But wow, talk about a slam dunk case. But you know what? This is a case where this creature should be tried as an adult, but he won't be. And again, the Supreme Court of Canada showing again how on the wrong side of the people they are. They have made it essentially impossible for the prosecutor to charge a young offender as as an adult. And I can't remember, Shelley, is he being charged with first or second degree murder?
Second degree murder.
Yeah, I have a problem with that
In
it's
the
give me your
United
car
States,
or I'll
this would
kill
be
you.
felony
Pardon me?
In the United States, this would actually be felony murder in many states.
Yep.
So if she dies in the commission of a felony, that's felony murder. That's the execution chamber for you. But in Canada, this is just second-degree murder. It gets bumped down for some reason.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll do the right thing and bump it up. But the fact is, I will be shocked if even this meets the benchmark of him being tried as an adult. It's not going to happen. And in a few years, this little punk...
21, probably. He'll be out.
He'll be out. You won't know his name. Although, I would say this, Sheila... now that we have social media, I think if you really were a bit of an internet sleuth, you could find his picture and his name, not that difficultly. So there's that. But, certainly if we were to say anything, if we were to show you his image, if we were to say his name, they would throw the book at us, Sheila. Oh, boy. Because, and again, this is, we talked about this on Friday. When it comes to the Young Offenders Act, then replaced by an even worse act, the Criminal Youth Justice Act, I believe in second chances. A kid goes on a joyride. Somebody shoplifts, a necktie at a store.
This is a psychopath.
Yeah.
This is a danger.
Yeah.
This is something completely different. This is not a youthful indiscretion. We have the transcript of the video that he posted to Instagram Live about what he was doing when he killed this lady. And I'm sorry, my computer does not quite understand the weird Toronto dialect that has developed over the last 10 years. And anybody from outside of Toronto, I think you know what I'm talking about. You can sort of hear there's a little bit of a thug something happening there, and I don't know, but there's a strange Toronto dialect, and I've actually read some linguistic articles about it that is developing very recently. And I say this as somebody with a strong Alberta accent, so this is not a condemnation of Toronto, although I have reasons to condemn Toronto. This just isn't one of them. He said, and I can't quote it verbatim because I said my computer doesn't understand this random throwing in the word fam into places that this young man does. But he said he was trying to get her car, but she didn't give me the keys. So I yoked her, she said. So he admits that he just killed her. He said, basically he goes on to say, I didn't mean to kill her, but you did kill her and then take her keys. In the commission of a crime, you killed a woman somebody's grandma who was trying to bring her groceries into the house.
He butchered her with a knife, Sheila.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah. The Liberals will say, oh, come on, boys will be boys, I guess, right?
Systemic racism, and he grew up in a bad environment. So apparently poor people don't know right from wrong, which is paternalistic nonsense.
You raise a really good point. I really want to know what his backstory is. Is he being raised by two parents, or is it a single mother, perhaps? And I know...
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I didn't grow up wealthy. In fact, I grew up beneath the poverty line. I was raised by a single mother. My dad died when I was 9. It was nobody left. He died. There's no excuse for not knowing right from wrong. This elitist nonsense that poor people don't know what is right and what is wrong is absolute garbage, and I'm tired of being used in the criminal justice system to make poor people less safe. Because when these lunatics get released from prison, guess where they go? Right back to the underprivileged neighborhoods they came from. And the people there trying to crawl their way up out of whatever systemic nonsense they're dealing with, they are the ones who have to deal with these people, not the people in the fancy houses in the fancy neighborhoods with the fancy streets and the well-groomed yards. It's the people on the cusp who have to keep dealing with this nonsense.
Sheila, I hear what you're saying loud and clear. I know you don't give a damn, and neither do I, of the extenuating circumstances. My question is, does his parents give a damn? Right. And I think that's an important question.
Sure it is. Yep. Sure it is. And again, once again, just because you're poor doesn't mean you get to be a garbage parent.
Oh, I totally agree.
like it's just, I don't know. I don't appreciate the excuses about socioeconomic class warfare that will be made on behalf of this young man to justify his butchery of somebody's grandma. Okay, now we know what I think about the totem pole of grievances. Let's move ahead because, what is this? From Leviathan. Thank goodness. Doing great work out there on X. If you don't follow Leviathan, you definitely should. They cover a lot of these, well, not a lot of them. Primarily, that's what they cover is anti-Semitic protests, nonsense, activists within the anti-Semitic pro-Hamas movement post October 7th. Aerial footage of the 11 arrests that occurred in Toronto show a clear view of how Toronto police conducted their finally, long overdue, crackdown on terrorist sympathizers in a contained zone. Let's see. Oh, the horses are coming out for something other than barbecues. Good to hear.
Mira, ¿la viste? Que están gritando que si la policía... Oh, fuck, sí.
I haven't seen the cops in Toronto move that fast since they were arresting anti-mandate protesters.
That's crazy.
Wow. So, Sheila, let me get this straight. When you say 11 arrests, we're talking about the Hamas holes getting arrested, not peaceful counter-demonstrators or citizens passing by and giving the finger because they're tired of being gridlocked in traffic, or independent journalists. They're actually arresting the shite disturbers for a change? Unbelievable.
Yeah, let's look at this. So this is from the, and I'm going to struggle with some names, everybody. I'll let you know in advance. This is a Toronto Police Service. This is their press release. It is alleged a large group of individuals took part in a demonstration in the downtown core. Police issued lawful direction for participants to clear intersections and keep the demonstration moving to reduce traffic congestion. So they weren't even actually trying to break up the protest. They just said you can't occupy an intersection so that you have obstructed traffic 4 ways. The police directed the group to disperse and move to the sidewalk. They became aggressive, assaulted officers while resisting police efforts to restore order. The following individuals were arrested and charged at the scene. Ghassan Aboulawi, 30, of Toronto, was charged with obstruction of a peace officer, failure to comply. Deidre Cahill, it's a very Anglo-sounding name, of 43 of Oakville. Oh, this is one of those cat moms. A normal 43-year-old on the weekend. 43-year-old woman should be doing stuff with her kids, not protesting on a street corner with the Hamas jerks. But her cat's probably able to take care of himself on a Sunday and a Saturday. She's charged with mischief and interference with property. Anna Ellergott, 28 of Toronto, is charged with obstruction of a peace officer, assault of a peace officer. How much do you want to bet she's going to get? Far less than Tamara Lich. We've got Yusuf Alizada, 32 of Toronto, obstruction of a peace officer, possession of a prohibited weapon.
Wow.
And carried a concealed weapon. That's not good. Noor Abu Ali, 28 of Mississauga, was charged with obstruction. Thomas Butko, 38 of Georgina, was charged with 2 counts of assaulting a peace officer. Salim Alawa, 28 of Burlington, was charged with assaulting a peace officer, causing a disturbance, mischief to interfere with property. Adam Diabas, 26 of Brampton, was charged with obstruction of a peace officer. They're all scheduled to appear September 8th. Then Leslie Solomonian, 47 of Toronto, obstruction of peace officer. Jameel Nasser of Windsor, charged with obstruction of a peace officer, assault of peace officer. Those ones are appearing on the 12th in court. So that's a violent protest. Lots of assaulting a peace officer, obstructing a peace officer, carrying a concealed weapon, carrying a prohibited weapon, probably the same weapon. They just two different ways on that. Then your general mischief and assault, or your general mischief and interference with property. So this seems far more violent than anything the convoy did, and yet these guys were probably out on bail that afternoon, and they will never see the inside of a jail cell.
Well, Sheila, I guess I know what my assignments are on September 8th and September 12th.
Yeah, there's another. I think there's another one too. That might, sorry, those are the only dates that I have right now. The 8th and the 12th. You are Ontario Court of Justice both days, please.
You know, that's a little disturbing, carrying the weapons, isn't it? And, you know, I say that in the context of in May we had the Walk with Israel march. And it was right in front of me. And there were police right there. And it was an individual, Sheila, with a grenade. Is it a real grenade? Is it a replica grenade? Is it a toy grenade? I don't know. But do you think that when you have somebody all masked up and he's part of Team Hamasshole, and there are literally almost 60,000 Jews marching by within an arm's throw of this potential explosive device, do you think maybe the police would talk to that fellow, have him surrender? That there it is. There's the photo. Yeah. Nothing. How dare they just assume that is just a replica, that's not real? And you can't assume. I would argue, Sheila, post 9/11, you have to prepare for the worst. And I was speaking to the police officers. They would not even acknowledge my questions. I said, what are you going to do? Aren't you going to check it out? Nope, nothing. So now that they have arrested members of this ilk, and they have found them to be weaponized, maybe we have to take a harder look at this. So I guess the question is, Sheila, come this weekend, are they going to be up to their regular shenanigans, or did this send a message? Or maybe we have to send a louder message. We have to get the paddy wagons out and do mass arrests, because I'm telling you, I think I speak for all of Toronto when I say, get the hell off the street. Front and Spadina, that's around the Skydome area. And when there is a baseball game, and there was that day, traffic is already gridlock enough, Sheila. So when you have these jerks doing their demonstration, and, I forgot, they have a right to prayer. You see, even though there's a mosque within walking distance.
It doesn't matter. You can pray with this. Look, this is Canada. We can pray wherever we want, but you don't get to block the street. Like if I was out in the middle of the street saying the rosary, the police would whack me and stab me.
Yeah.
and rightfully so. You can't obstruct traffic. Go on the sidewalk. Pray till your heart's content on the sidewalk.
Yep.
I will actually fight for your right to pray on the sidewalk. But this is just a show of supremacy. Yeah. And I think we will need a few more weekends of arrests for this to maybe dissipate a little bit. And I'm curious, and I suppose you'll find out when you're in attendance at court, what do they mean by prohibited weapon? Because that can mean a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a taser. It could be a switchblade. It could be pepper spray. It could be a firearm.
Yep.
It could be a lot of things. And it could be a grenade. So I'm just curious, and I think you're going to find out the details as you tune in for these court appearances.
No, but Sheila, on this business of the constitutional right to prayer, which the City of Toronto and the police have both released media statements about, I went back to the city and I said, yes, I agree, Canadians have a constitutional right to pray, but you do not have a constitutional right to block the street as you pray. And the response I got back from the city of Toronto, Sheila, was, we stand by our statement.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know what? A few more weekends like this. That's what I want to see. I think that's what most Torontonians want to see too. Now, before we hit an ad breaks, we're already at the end of the show, but we have a few more things we need to touch on because they ended up in the YouTube headline, and we got some chats to get to also. Okay. This is a big scoop from us. Well, from me, actually. From, I think it was last Friday. Scoop. RCMP had 0 briefings on anti-Semitism in 2024, even as attacks on Jews skyrocketed. Can you, and so now I've done some investigating, and I'll let you know how this compares to other religious groups that everybody seems to be pretty concerned about all the time. I'm going to see how many RCMP briefings were on Islamophobia versus how they treated the Jews. And what is important is that there is a skyrocketing amount of attacks on Jews. B'nai B'rith recorded 5,791 anti-Semitic incidents in 2023, 109% increase from the year before. Physical violence against Jews more than tripled, while incidents of harassment and vandalism skyrocketed. Toronto police, 203 hate crimes between October 2023 and just early 2024, so just a few months. 56 of them were 56%, so over half of all hate crimes were targeted at Jews in Toronto.
Oh, and Sheila, if I may,
the Jewish girls' schools. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. It is all the more appalling when you consider the percentage of Jews in Canada. Basically, Canada-wide, you're talking about 1%. In Toronto, it's about 4%. So that makes those numbers even more amplified than they already are.
Right. And then I went on to point out that the RCMP commissioner received briefings in 2024 on topics like diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, internal communications about climate resiliency, and protest management strategies.
Well, what about land acknowledgements? Did they get training in that too?
Well, we know they do them before they give briefings on missing kids, of all things. Anyway, so that was a scoop from us, and now I'm going to compare it to the Islamophobia briefings, and then I'm going to do it on the churches also. So we'll see. Yes. Well, I just want to see how things compare. And where the focus is on. Efron, do we want to hit an ad break?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hit an ad break. We'll be right back for the last little bit of the show.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. Members get instant access to all of our shows, invitations to exclusive events, and access to our premium content like live event footage and documentaries you won't see anywhere else. Only Rebel News Plus members can join the conversation by participating in the comments section of our new website. That way you can have your say too. More than anything though, you'll be able to take pride in supporting real, honest journalism, and you'll help our talented team continue to do the work to push back on the establishment. We really can use your help. We need it, in fact. So thank you, and enjoy Rebel News Plus.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same
We
rhetoric.
will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of assault-style firearms.
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted. While criminals run wild under liberal policy. But we are fighting back. By delaying and dismantling unjust legislation, by confronting policy at its source, like on the global stage at the United Nations, through our unmatched record of political lobbying and our Save Firearms program, actively saving firearms from government crushers in real time. And we're not done yet. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
Alberta powers Canada, but Ottawa keeps limiting our potential. The Alberta Next panel wants your ideas to strengthen our sovereignty within a united Canada. Help decide what's next for Alberta. Visit alberta.ca/next.
All right. I think we'll talk about Howard Lutnick ragging on Canada, and then let's do a couple of clips from the Pagan podcast and then the Daily Cringe, Efron, if that works. Howard Lutnick, the U.S. Commerce Secretary, speaks with CBS on the ongoing trade dispute with Canada. And he's got some opinions on us, and he's not alone, but the mainstream media doesn't like to point out the other side of this because they just are so anti-American in this country.
Elbows up.
Their prime minister said this past week there's not a lot of evidence they can get a trade deal with the U.S. that avoids tariffs. Is your message to Canada, Mr. Secretary, that no matter what they offer at the negotiating table, free trade's gone, there will be a tariff in place?
No, see, that's silly. We have a plan called USMCA, U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement. Virtually 75% of all goods coming from Mexico and Canada already come in tariff-free. The president said, look, unless you stop this fentanyl and close the border, we're just going to keep tariffs on the other 25%. And that's what he has on. So don't be confused about it. The president understands that we need to open the market. Canada is not open to us. They need to open their market. Unless they're willing to open their market, they're going to pay a tariff. That's a simple message the president has. It's fair trade. It's reciprocal trade. Why should we have our country be wide open while theirs is closed? This is an 80-year wrong that President Trump is trying to fix. And our businesses are going to really, really enjoy it. I think the president's going to open between $300 and $400 billion of opportunity for Americans. That's 1.5%, up to 1.5% GDP growth, because the president's going to open all these markets up. Yeah. You saw it with Vietnam. You saw it with Indonesia. You're going to watch all these other countries decide if they want to do business with America. Let's just open our market up to America. That's opportunity that President Trump is bringing.
Okay, that's probably good. David, I think we all know what he's talking about there, right? Supply management.
100%. And by the way, before we get into that, Sheila, can we come up with a new name for USMCA? Every time I hear that, I almost expect to see a video depicting a cowboy, an Indian, a biker, and a construction worker doing a disco dance. But anyway, no, you're right.
I think it's easier to say than the Canadian version of it. It's like CUSMA or something. Like it's. I think the U.S. version just rolls off the tongue a little better.
Yeah, but no, you're right. And we know that supply management in Canada is a political third rail. No political party except the PPC will talk about tampering with supply management. Well, guess what? We don't have cards to play. If supply management is not going to be eliminated, and of course, this is the policy that affects dairy, eggs, turkey, and chicken, we're going to have to acquiesce, Sheila. You can call Donald Trump a master negotiator, all about the art of the deal. You can call him a bully. It's irrelevant. He has the cards. He is the president of a country that is more than 10 times the size of Canada. The Carney Liberals can fantasize about opening up new markets in Europe and Asia and abroad.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we've heard this like forever and a day. We're going to have to get to the table, and they're going to have to make concessions. Maybe there's some way of the Carney Liberals saving face, that not eliminating supply management, but pretty much gouging it to the president's whims. And you know what? At the end of the day, Sheila, as a Canadian who looks at the prices of those 4 commodities compared to, I mean, you've made the comparison of the Costco in Washington State. They call the Canadian shoppers the Red Plague, I think, because they flock down there to buy those commodities. Well, then, isn't that getting rid of a tariff on Canadian consumers when you think about it?
Right. And to be clear, this Soviet-style price-fixing scheme in supply management, and don't come at me, don't say I'm anti-farmer. I'm a farmer, okay? But the beef producers are figuring out how to get the other part of the cow to market just fine without government intervention. But the UK has walked away from the CETA trade deal with Canada because of supply management. So that deal has yet to be ratified. I think it was negotiated back in 2018. Supply management's the holdup. The UK, when they went to the G7, signed their trade deal that they had previously negotiated with the Americans. So it's not like the UK is averse to getting trade deals done with unfriendly types like the Americans. Supply management is the problem with all these trade deals. And it is the reason we're getting our butts kicked with tariffs from the Americans. There's a way to dismantle this. Other countries have done it. We need to start because other industries are being crushed by it.
Oh, and Sheila, when it comes to those tariffs, forget about 10, 25, 35, 50% tariffs. With certain dairy commodities, for a U.S. producer to bring their product to market here in Canada, how about 292% tariff? Almost 300% tariff. So I think they have a strong hand when it comes to the fairness case, Sheila.
For sure they do. Let's move ahead to Danielle Smith, my premier of Alberta, appearing on the Steve Paikin podcast. Steve Paikin used to work at TVO. Is he still there? Did he retire?
You know what? That's news to me. I mean, and that tells you how often I watch TVO.
Right. Precisely.
But you know what? Steve Paikin, he's a good guy. I'll give him that. I've met Steve, and maybe a liberal. I don't know, but still
Probably.
One of the good ones. But I think what you're getting at is, was this where the premier? There it is. To end after 19 seasons.
Yeah.
Wow. That just tells you how relevant TVO is. Why? It's bad enough we have a CBC, but why is our chief cherry cheesecake enthusiast still funding TVO? And isn't that goes completely against conservative ideals? But nevertheless,
it doesn't make any sense. By the way, like in modern times, the premiers just do a podcast, or they just like sit down and talk to their media guy on YouTube. That's what we do in Alberta, and it doesn't actually cost the Alberta taxpayer anything. But yeah, we've got Smith on Steve Paikin's podcast. Isn't it funny how Steve Paikin's talking to Albertans, even though he made his career at TVO? And she says, for some reason, and they're talking about the CBC, and the mainstream media, they didn't want conservative voices and they didn't want conservative viewers. So let's listen to this.
Wow.
Do you believe the institutions of this country, the courts, the media, the public service, do they lean liberal and against conservatives, generally speaking.
Well, yeah. I think CBC just demonstrated that in spades. They just had a major broadcaster quit with exactly that same Travis Danraj, I think.
Yeah, that's the allegation.
And he argued that he wasn't allowed to have the full range of perspective being represented. We just had that happen recently with CBC. In fact, I talked to my housing minister about it. One of the reporters was asking him about some of our stats, and we know that she contacted 12 people about our change in policy, didn't quote any of them because they agreed with us, and she went out of province to quote somebody who would criticize us. So I see that over and over and over again. So I think part of the reason why the decline in the mainstream media and the rise of alternative media is because for some reason they decided they didn't want conservative voices and didn't want conservative viewers.
You know, Sheila, we don't deserve Danielle Smith.
You don't. I think Albertans do. She is 100% right. She's also a former broadcaster herself.
Yep.
She left Chorus because she wanted to talk a little bit more about lockdowns and the harm that it was having. And she left Chorus and went her own way so that she could have those discussions. So she has seen both sides of this. Yeah. And just last week, this nonsense about mainstream media specifically ignoring what conservatives are saying to fix their own agenda, that happened with our library services announcement. And I did a video on this because I could pull back the curtain and show you how the mainstream media had to have purposefully got the library standards announcement wrong. We were getting the smut and homosexual erotica out of our elementary school libraries, and all the media got embargoed documents 3 hours in advance. They were able to attend a press conference. They were able to ask the experts questions. And the embargoed document specifically said this wouldn't affect like hand-holding, breastfeeding, medical stuff, none of that, like normal relationship, teen romance novel stuff. It wouldn't affect any of that. The media went and reported that it would. And then the lie went around the world before the truth was able to put its pants on. It was so bad that the press secretary for the education minister had to issue a statement by 4:00 in the afternoon that why are you guys getting this wrong? These are the embargoed documents. So she knows that absolutely the media will go in search of someone who will agree with their agenda and not quote the other sources. They do it all the time.
100%. And, and good for Danielle Smith getting out of the Chorus Corporation. They run radio stations across the nation, the global TV affiliates. Last time I looked, Sheila, just to show you how Chorus thinks it knows what it's doing, I think their stock was trading at 6 cents a share, which is why they need taxpayer welfare to turn the lights on. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay, we've got another clip from the Paikin podcast. Paikin asked Premier Smith about Yves-François Blanchet when he said that Alberta oil and gas isn't a culture. Now, I would argue that it is a little bit. The oil and gas sector does have its own sort of lingo, its own colloquialisms, its own work ethic, its own sense of values, but those are grown from the broader Alberta culture. So even when he said that to try to make fun of us, he was actually wrong. But Paikin asked Premier Smith about that.
Mentioned Quebec. I do want to get your view on Yves-François Blanchet's comments, which you no doubt heard. Asked if he had any tips for you in Alberta about asserting your sovereignty or separating. He said, the first idea is to define oneself as a nation. Therefore, it requires a culture of their own, and I am not certain that oil and gas qualify to define a culture.
Well,
what did you think when you heard that?
Well, maybe he should come out here during Stampede. There is no one who has the 10-day celebration that we do, and I mention it because it is so definitive of the Alberta culture, going back to our roots in how we developed. We don't have the same founding story as Quebec does. Our founding story began in 1905 when when early settlers came in and fur traded with the First Nations. And then, because we needed to populate it, there was a call out to the world to come here and get free land, and it was hard to develop it, whether it was for ranching or for farming. But that culture that we celebrate every single year is important, because what I would say with the character of the Alberta people is that they don't look to government to solve their problems. They solve them themselves, and they overcome some of the worst conditions, some of the most extreme hardships, and we keep on winning over and over and over again. And so I think that what you see with the celebration of our Western heritage, that's the celebration of our Western values. And there's so much business that takes place because every single year there's a new frontier. We developed gas, then we developed oil, then we developed oil sands, we're developing hydrogen, we're looking towards nuclear, we're developing carbon capture, we're developing data centers. I think those things are linked. And when people do come here and they see what a merit-based society we have built, a welcoming place where people from around the world can celebrate their own culture and heritage, but they embrace the Alberta heritage and culture, yeah, we already have that.
You know, Sheila, the audacity of Blanchette to say those comments, it's off the charts. And I'll tell you what really is going on here. It's envy. In the early 80s and the mid 90s, Quebec had a referendum for separation. They failed each time. Now, because of demographic changes in Quebec, separation is a pipe dream. It'll never happen. If there's a third referendum, it will be a resounding defeat. Separation, I would argue, is more of a real thing in Alberta than it is in Quebec. And Blanchette is just burning with envy.
Right, because we can do it.
Yeah.
Now, Quebec could never do it because of their strong reliance on handouts from everybody else. They won't develop their own gas resources, but they're happy to take transfer payments from our gas resources while vilifying our gas resources. Premier Smith is right. The people who settled this place and who continue to settle this place tamed an unforgiving land and turned it into something that feeds the world, something that powers the world. And there's a lot of envy from people like Blanchette because we are able to do that without relying on government to help us do it. Albertans are more separatist than Quebecers are right now. And we have more will to unchain ourselves from Confederation.
Oh, and Sheila, I can tell you, even the Quebec separatists subscribe to your point of view. They need the handouts. That's why the biggest attempted scam of the century in Canada was when the separatists started using the words sovereignty association. Right. So, yeah, we're independent. It's our nation of Quebec. But we still have our hands in the till in Ottawa. We're still going to be part of supply management. That's what sovereignty association meant. Right. It was literally having your cake and eating it too.
Right. Yeah, they wanted to be sovereign while still associating themselves with our money.
Yeah.
Let's do this last clip from the Pagan podcast about could this be Alberta's Brexit movement? I think it is, but for a different reason. Anyways, let's watch this.
I suspect David Cameron thought he was doing the same thing when he offered the public the opportunity to consider Brexit. And then the thing took on a momentum of its own, and he clearly lost control of it. Is there a part of you that worries that could happen here?
Very much. That's why I've been spending a lot of time. I mean, you have to remember, when I first got into politics, there were about 5 separatist parties already. And that was my message to them, is let's not split the vote. Give me a chance. Let's try to make the country work. And I did do that under the former Prime Minister. But there was absolutely no meeting partway. And so I'm making the same request again, is this is a new leader. We've already seen some indication that he's different. I mean, the ending of the carbon tax on as one of his first actions shows that he is not as tied to all of these terrible policies as his predecessor was. But I think we just need to see a little bit more proof in his actions. So I think that my view is that, yeah, I worry about it. I hope the Prime Minister worries about it, because he should be worried about unity. And he should be worried that it's his actions or his government actions or the prior government's actions that has created this situation. And it's in his power to be able to cause it to be alleviated. So that's what I'm putting on him. And I hope he answers with some actions that will do that.
Sheila, before we get into the nitty gritty, I got to ask you, is that the case that there is or there was 5 separatist parties in the province of Alberta? You know what that reminds me of? Sometimes you go to the poll and it's one of these crazy ballots with like 28 people running, and you get to near the end and there's somebody with the Communist Party of Canada and somebody else with the Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada. Are you really that different? You can't, unite the far left extremists, so, but that many separatist parties, what differentiates them?
Not a lot. Are we going to leave Canada? Are we going to be a republic of our own? Are we going to join the United States? Like, there are parties for everybody in that way. And the Alberta Prosperity Project is not a party, and they're sort of working from outside that. They're saying, okay, let's figure out how to leave, and then we'll figure out what that looks like, what we do after that. Let's do the big thing first, and then, we're smart, we're hardworking, we'll figure it out from there. But that is the problem with a deeply conservative place, right? Is that it's hard to get us all marching in the same direction. When you are a culture of fierce individualists, it's hard to get everybody working together for the same goal, when you might even have the same goal, but you don't want to chant the same slogan and hold the same sign. It's one of the good things about the conservative movement, but it sure makes it hard to win elections. There's a lot of that with the separatist movement, and I think that's what the Alberta Prosperity Project is trying to do, is trying to say, like, hey, we don't need a party system for this. We need a movement of the people outside of the party system, because party system invites tribalism, and what we're just trying to do right now is to deal with the issue at hand. That's not a party thing. It doesn't need a political leader. It's a populist movement. So she's not wrong. That's how desperately people want to leave here. They're like, just keep starting political parties just to get out the door. Let's talk about the chats.
Okay.
And then we'll do the Daily Cringe, brought to us by a Daily Cringe recidivist. So many of them are, but this was David Menzies' selection, so we must get to it. We've got a chat here from Glagin81. Another outfit that needs gutting is the BDC. That's the Business Development Council. I think that's right. Talk about loan sharks, the only game in town for financing a business purchase. It's a loan sharking operation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I have never heard good things about the BDC. Cicely Bardwell, she is, speaking of recidivists, she is a frequent chatter donator, and we sure appreciate her.
Thank you.
She says the punishment doesn't fit the crime, of course, talking about Leach and Barber. Jay Peterson gives us $20 and says, this is just for support of Rebel News. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
Rabid Roach gives us $2. What is accomplished is that the world put an end to the lockdown. So we're talking about what the convoy accomplished. Had the convoy never happened, we'd be required to have a 20th booster to leave our homes today. Oh, and we would be even more morbidly obese than we already are. And then Efron apologizes because he can't get the whole last name to show, but if I had to guess, it's Dylan. Mantej, DHIL, and I bet you it's LON, gives us $50.
Thank you.
And I don't see a chat there, but I'm just real grateful. Appreciate that. Let's hit the Daily Cringe. It's comes by way of the former NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, and I'm just already covered in the heebie-jeebies.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Get ready with me, summer edition. About to go for a walk, and I'm gonna wrap up my head, and also share with you some ideas. Ever since the last election, something's been happening. People have been coming up to me and saying thank you for your service. Folks have been biking by and yelling it out.
Where?
Shouting it out from their cars. People have been coming right up to me and saying it. People have DM'd me. And first
Thank you
of all,
for your service.
Sweet of you to say that. But it also got me thinking about service and leadership and how I feel about that. So let me share with you my thoughts on it. when I was a kid, if I ever went to an organization or a group that was Sikh-led, and you asked who the leader was, they would point out a brother or sister, and if you went up to them and chatted with them and said, "Oh, I hear you're the leader," they would say, "No, no, no." They never wanted to be referred to as a leader. They say, "Oh, no, I'm just a sevadar." And what sevadar means is one who serves. And so they were reluctant to be referred to as a leader because they didn't want to be thought of as a person that was bossing folks around or at the top or calling the shots. But instead, they wanted to know that what they were doing was just service. They were just serving their community, serving people. And that's what I grew up believing leadership was. Leadership was, to me, service. And so when folks say to me, "Thank you for your service," it's probably the nicest thing you could say, because that's exactly what I believed, and I continue to believe that leadership is. It's the ability or the honor to serve. So thanks for saying that. And it also means that I couldn't have served in the first place. I wouldn't have had the honor of serving but for people who supported me. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who supported me. Thanks to everybody who donated, voted, who believed in our vision. Thank you to all of you. We couldn't have done the work we did without you. So big thank you to all of you. And I guess this is a good time to chat a little about what I'm up to now. I've been spending a lot of time with the family, thinking about what the next role is for me.
Who's thinking?
But I want you to know, no matter what I do, I will always continue to push for better ways for us to take care of each other. I always want to fight for you. I want you to know that I believe in my core, and I always will believe, that we are all one, and that we are better off when we take care of each other. All of us are better off when we lift each other up. So I'm going to continue to find ways to talk about that and to continue to promote that if we want to build a fairer world, a better world, it's going to be a world where we imagine that we're all one, and a world where we find better ways and more ways to take care of each other. Well, appreciate you all. Thanks so much. Thanks for all the love and support. Right back at you. And I guess we're going to go for a walk now. All right, take care.
Oh, my goodness. Sheila, it was like watching a perverse reverse striptease in an alternate universe. I will say this. If I was a Sikh, I don't think I'd make a very good one. Here's the only good thing I can say about that video. He's very coordinated in terms of putting that turban on. I lack those skills. But I'll tell you, everything else, the only truthful thing he said, and wow, what a quote, is when he said, no, I'm not the leader. Yeah, that's right, because you lost your own seat. And not only that, you threw your party under the bus for your pension. You threw your country under the bus for your pension. And by the way, Mr. Singh, those people passing by on the car, putting their hands out the window, are you sure you're looking at the right digit? That it's a thumb up and not the middle finger up? Because I suspect that is what you're getting, not the reverse.
Yeah, what we just saw was fake performative humility from somebody who doesn't have any. I'm just so pleased he took his Rolex off before he did that video. The most interesting part for me was watching him tie his turban. I've never seen that done before. It was fascinating to me. That was quite something to watch, but listening to his words, I'm like, thank you for your service. You're not a veteran. You're not a cop. You're a self-serving politician who sold out this country for his pension. Thank you for your service. What exactly did you accomplish? Nothing. Well, 10 more years of liberal leadership, probably. That's all. And destroying his own party to get it. Thank you for your service. Yeah, you're a real war hero. Thanks.
Well, you know, Sheila, to be fair, in terms of accomplishments, we know Jagmeet Singh is all about, green energy and the climate crisis and whatnot. And after the last election, the NDP at the federal level can now have a caucus meeting in a minivan. They've been reduced to 7 seats, so we don't have to have any kind of convoy. Y'all fit into that Dodge Caravan, and there you go. So that's something.
Yeah, the way he's treating himself, like he just has gone through the Afghanistan war by being one of the most comfortable, well-kept people in all of Canada. Mr. Rolex Maserati, thank you for your service. As if people are saying that to him, by the way, as if. Definitely they're not. This is just like don't thank me. Thank you for choosing me. Congratulations on you guys being so smart that you chose me. Like, it's just so stupid. Just
it's kind of like seeing the captain of the Titanic at some kind of nautical conference talking about iceberg evasion, right? I mean, like,
go get in your Maserati, pick up Aaron O'Toole, come out here, get Jason Kenney, and then you guys just drive into the sunset and we never see you ever again.
Oh, no, but
then I'll be out on the highway holding a thank you sign. But this is nonsense.
Me too, but let's get some of our trained broadcast professionals to wire up that car, because I want to see what the conversation is.
I don't want to hear from them ever again. All three of them, just never again. No, zip it. Just drive away. I'll buy the gas.
Sheila, is it a Maserati or is it a BMW M3, or does he own both? And by the way, when I show...
Yeah, he's a Maserati Marxist. I forget who called him that. Yeah, anyway.
And when I saw him show up at a Toronto event, he was in a Dodge Durango RT, of course, not the base model. So he's quite the connoisseur of cars for somebody that keeps preaching about... Oh, there's the Maserati. Oh, it's the Maserati SUV. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So good for him. Good for him. Just making use of that pension.
Well, you know, Sheila, as they say, socialism ain't for the socialists.
Yeah, it's for the people. Okay, I think that's it. We got all the chats. We can probably wrap up. I know they need the studio in about 15 minutes.
Yes, we do. So, Sheila, thank you so much. And, folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for those very generous chats today. That was awesome. I believe tomorrow it is Sheila along with the lovely Lise. And I will be back with Sheila this Friday. Can't wait. And I think, are we doing a panel discussion again on Friday, Sheila?
Yeah, but no offense, I'm going to try to weasel out of it.
Okay.
and meet a family obligation. But if I can't, then I'll be here.
There you go. So as they say in the marketing universe, folks, that's value add. You're going to get more people yammering away. So until then, thanks for tuning in. And as always, stay safe and stay sane.